Zero GM, everyone. I'm Jake Salerno. I'm the head of BD at Zero Gravity, building the Zero Gravity protocol, decentralized AI operating system that works with many folks here to make sure that AI remains a public good.
Hey guys, my name is Karthik. Super excited to be here. I lead strategy at Aethir, mostly like special projects, node sale, token launch, the eco fund, and all that. Aethir, we are an enterprise-grade decentralized cloud compute infra, mostly specializing in GPU compute for AI inferencing or cloud gaming, anything that basically needs GPU compute.
Hi guys, my name is Matilda. I'm the head of strategy at GAIB. At GAIB, we're building the first AI economic layer. We tokenize GPUs and their yields to give everyone direct exposure to compute assets without having to buy NVIDIA stocks.
Hey everyone, I'm Chris from Virtuals Protocol. We're an on-chain AI launching platform.
Awesome, guys. So we have the best names in AI on the stage right now. It's very exciting. Obviously, there's a lot of things happening in Web3 in general around AI. And there's a lot of questions around, like, what are the legitimate use cases for AI in crypto? So I want to ask you all, what do you think is the role of AI in RWA? What is RWAI?
Well, for starters, real-world assets apply to just about everything that we see in this room, everything that we've kind of tried to tokenize or bring on-chain for provenance, for transparency, and for the marketplace and serviceability of what these assets can be with Web3 Rails. And so if you take the same kind of principle and apply it to the different facets of AI and what contributes to the actual convergence and outcomes of AI, there's so many ways that you can tokenize the different levels of the tech stack, right? Whether that's the data, the models, the GPU, the CPU, the compute. And to relate it back to Zero Gravity, we're the connective tissue that provides a lot of base layers, storage, data availability, inferencing, and kind of servicing of these different layers together as a platform. So if you're building, you can use one or more of the solutions that they're able to offer with different security related kind of base levels and no new trust assumptions in your tech stack. So if you can get creative with tokenization in general, you can apply that to so many different levels to bring those to be monetizable, owned by many, and of course secured on chain versus just kind of in an off-chain black box environment that we see AI residing in today.
Yeah, I think really well covered. It's literally just like using AI in the entire tech stack wherever you can, right? What I think about, like, from Aethir's perspective, I think for us it's about GPU machine. So that's something that we would tokenize. Very simply, the two most interesting things for me are obviously risk assessment on the actual asset side. The real world asset could be a property, could be gold, could be GPU machines like ours, right? Everything requires some sort of credit scoring and all that. So that's where it could really like speed run the process there, make sure it's reliable. And the second aspect of any initiative around RWAs, the yields behind it, right? Actually, the general retail, they don't even care much about what kind of asset they are depositing their funds in. It's mostly about, hey, what is like secure and what gives me the max APY, right? What gives me the max buck? So that's where, like, when AI comes in, it could really, like, building on the previous point, it's like the DeFi part of the entire RWA portion, right? Where you could use AI to extract yields on top of it from multiple different avenues. So yeah, these two things are like mostly interesting for me.
Well, both RWA and AI are have extremely big opportunity sizes for obvious reasons, right? So like the overlap is massive as well, and there's just so many opportunities to explore. For example, like, I think we all believe in the future that a lot of real assets are going to be brought on chain simply because of the decentralization and also the efficiency on chain. And then, and I'm pretty sure there are going to be a lot of companies building like AI tools, AI agents, like AI financial advisors that actually help you manage, like, investing in these like real assets, like manage positions, manage your portfolios and all of that. There are a lot of opportunities around that. There are also just like a lot of like AI-driven funds, AI-driven like investment DAOs, all of that. And with regard to what we do, right, like we see like our intersection with AI is the compute part of it, more like the economic or like the financial engine of compute, because compute requires funding. And a lot of those funding could be channeled from on-chain. So there's massive liquidity on-chain, always looking for real yield, sustainable, reliable yield. And what we could do is actually channel, like funnel those funding, this liquidity from on-chain to the off-chain world, to AI companies, to cloud companies, data centers that need a lot of upfront investments and for the GPU financing and refinancing. And we can give this liquidity to them and earn yield from that and distribute the yield back to the on-chain world to investors regardless of institutions or retail, to really give everyone like fair access to the growth of AI instead of just letting it being limited by big companies.
Yeah, I guess I'll come at it from a little bit of a different angle. So obviously AI is going to play a big part in the RWA space, but when you think about AI in a traditional way, it's rule-based or it's trigger-based. When you explore about AI agents, they're acting autonomously in feedback loops, and they're much more scalable. So the idea of combining AI agents into RWAs, as agents develop, they become more specialized. In order to fill the gaps, then there needs to be more agents. So, we predict a future where it's agent-to-agent commerce, and the way that ties into RWAs is huge.
Yeah, so we touched on a couple things there, not just on how AI factors into RWA, but also how RWA factors into AI. And I want to touch back on that in a second. But first, Chris, I actually have a question for you. So we talked a lot about how agents like you talked about agent-driven economies, right? And we talked about also optimization through agents for crypto in general. Obviously, crypto is pretty inefficient at the moment. It's getting more efficient all the time. AI agents are definitely going to have a role in improving that. So how far away do you think we are from the type of sophistication that we need in AI agents to be, having agentic portfolio managers or infrastructural tools that are agent-driven to improve the inefficiencies in crypto?
I mean, I think probably months. A lot of that stuff is kind of already in place, but it's very specialized, right? So now a lot of the projects are learning really to work together. So, you have agents and then you also have workers. So, right now, for example, maybe you have an AI agent that's a music idol, right? Well, that agent is in the future going to work with an agent that's doing, video generation, an agent that is actually securing physical locations for concerts, another agent that's managing, the book that agent has. So yeah, we really envision a world where agents are working for each other, but also employing humans to a certain degree.
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. So back on more of the GPU side, right? Aethir and GAIB are building tokenized GPU infrastructure. Why are these important to the development of the economics of AI development? Sorry. Why are these?
Yeah, I think, it's very simple, right? As Matilda already touched upon the financing part of it. So what happens with compute side, these things are expensive, right? It's CapEx intensive. So that's where a lot of these data center providers who are providing enterprise-grade compute to the likes of Aethir, they are looking for some sort of financing opportunities, right? Now with Web3, what happens is you also have this interesting thing, which is called a token, and nobody wants to take that risk of price fluctuation and all that, right? In any sort of Web3 architecture, this staking is a big part, because that's something that you can use as a deposit to slash if these providers don't meet their SLAs, right? It's basically the Web2 phenomena of deposit, but we just call it slashing. So this is where what happens is when you implement technology from the players like GAIB and tokenize those GPUs, a lot of the risk basically gets taken off the table for these typical people from the Web2 side who don't understand token side of things, right? They are simple people. Hey, we have the data centers, we have the GPUs. How do we basically make the most out of it? I don't want to touch token. I don't want to take the price fluctuation risk. That's where our Web3 regions come in. They basically stake on behalf of them in walls, and you can just tokenize GPUs to raise funds for the GPU itself, right? That's how ultimately this advances the use cases for GPU compute and basically the use cases for AI, right? That's how I would like to think about it.
Yeah, I think from our perspective, we really just want to address one key issue, which is accessibility. So on two sides, right? On the compute side, or data center side, their accessibility to financing / refinancing, or their accessibility to capital so that it can scale faster. And on the investor side, is accessibility to yield, to yield generated by the AI growth. So with regard to our partnership with Aethir, I think that's a perfect example of how we collaboratively address this accessibility issue, right? As Kartik mentioned, a lot of these compute providers on Aethir or on like most of the decentralized compute platforms need a whole bunch of native tokens, of these platform tokens, to stake in order to join the network, which is reasonable, right? Because the network also need to control the circulation of the token. And they need to stake a lot of network tokens to join the network in order to start earning rewards. And the rewards might have vesting schedules as well. And they also have to think about how to convert these rewards from native tokens into stablecoins and ultimately fiat, because apparently you can't pay your electricity bills in crypto. Hopefully one day, but probably not now. So that's just a lot of work. But I mean, it's attractive reward, but it's a lot of work. So what we're doing is we can package the entire revenue stream into a financial product, include that in our stack, and let investors buy it. And then in that way, from a compute provider's perspective, they're just immediately cashing out all of their future rewards in a lump sum in advance. And from the investor's perspective, they're just purchasing the right to claim these rewards over, say, the next year or something, and they can enjoy all of the upside. And then we'll just really make the lives of these compute providers easier, so they don't have to worry about staking, vesting, converting ATH or other tokens into stablecoins. All of that, we'll take care of it. And this is very critical because that really lowers the barrier for new cloud companies and data centers to join decentralized compute networks and really to grow the ecosystem bigger and kick up an economic flywheel, because we'll have a lot of investors coming in as well to fund these data centers and cloud companies. So yeah, we'll definitely look forward to do like similar partnerships with more and more platforms as well to really grow the pie bigger.
Awesome. And Jake, so turning this to you, what role does zero gravity play in increasing the efficiency of coordination of AI resources?
Well, I always like to conceptualize, as a previous architect myself, physical buildings. The coordination of capital is very difficult in a public domain. I mean, we've seen startups like Kickstarter and GoFundMe and whatnot in a Web 2 sense, and I think that Web 3 has done that really well with the coordination of capital with certain tokens, maybe with utility, maybe without. But in general, you look at projects like Stargate, right? And I'm not talking about the bridge built on layer 0, rather the GPU data center that the government and public and private funding will go towards, right? $500 billion. And some of these big companies that currently own a big facet of AI are scrambling to put up the capital to build such, capital-intensive training centers. And they're looking at each other like, do you guys actually really have the money? Like, I remember that was funny, where like Microsoft is looking at Meta and Meta's looking back at over here, and they're like, do you guys really have this money? And in general, that's a very privatized coordination of capital, and it's not going to make AI a public good. Once again, Goliath will be Goliath, and us as the people will be David. We're going to be left out of the formulation of these resources, and they're going to monetize it and proceed to charge us $20 a month to use it. And in reality, we've contributed so much to this training cycle with our data and our fine-tuning. We stand to benefit from that a little bit. So in our opinion, and Zero G, just to round this back out, is kind of acting as that coordination layer where looking forward, we want to have initial training offerings, initial model offerings, initial agent offerings, where you can train and build proprietary things on a tech stack basis and then crowdfund the resources to bring that to the next level. Maybe it's taking an agent that works really well in a software sense and making it an embodied agent with hardware, right? The Tesla robots are an example. Imagine if we were able to actually crowdsource the capital that it took to build these robots with the agents that we know that are acting in our best interest. That's cool. And then therefore, when they perform well, we stand to benefit. We get the dividends. We maybe have a DAO governance structure that allows us to have input on the ways that these things are enacted down the road in a hardware sense. And that's what really excites me. It's the future of what we're able to do in a physical world with AI agents and the way that AI contributes to these agents. And we want to act as that connective tissue with the players here, with the way that we're able to bring our economy and ecosystem in with the capital that they have to actually build better and make sure that AI is a public good for us, similar to how we had our node sale to sell nodes to allow people to contribute to the training and betterment of AI, having a slice of that piece, right? You could probably speak a thing or two about node sales, but it's really democratizing AI. And so we can do that with node sales, we can do that with ICOs or TGEs or whatnot, but in general, I'm really excited about how this might be able to play into the advancement of hardware and the real world invokements of these AI agents and beyond.
So Jake just made a lot of good points about my next question. So I'm interested to hear from the rest of you guys about this. But a major facet of all projects represented on stage today is crypto-based decentralized marketplaces of some kind, whether it's compute, data, agents, all of the above, right? How is this important in the furthering development of AI, right? And also things like, decentralizing human-in-the-loop feedback, everything related to decentralization of AI. Why is it important to the development of AI moving forward?
Yeah, I think very, very interesting question. See, these marketplaces could be, again, like throughout the entire stack, right? For us, it's like GPU compute marketplace. For somebody else, could be an agentic marketplace or whatever, right? I was just talking about it a couple of, in the last panel, basically. If you see what's happening now in Web3, everybody's talking about AGI, right? That's like AI agentic corporations. People think it's like you have this Intel or the framework that basically is the mind behind everything, that your model runs on it. Then you have these agents, like AI XBT and so on, right? Your Eco XBTs, and then there could be an AI fund or whatever, right? Now, what happens is your framework itself could be open source, but how different agents use that framework, it's totally dependent on them, right? Like what parameters do they set? This is where all your different marketplaces come in really handy, because different people, like normal people who are like studying in college or whatever, who are like gigabrains, they can provide their inputs, right? They can like put their models on the marketplace. Now it's up to like, now you have the framework, you have different models. It could be like data, it could be training, whatever. All of these you can like just plug in and use the best of every side of the story, right? And then you spin out these different ecosystem AI agents. And obviously it might require storage, so there might be a storage marketplace, compute marketplace, data marketplace, whatever. Essentially what happens, if you say in this, is everybody's just working on what their expertise is, right? It's basically you have this entire stack broken down, which is very, very common in Web 2, and you just plug and play and build out basically the best out of it, right? So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think to us, decentralization is key to our platform. We allow anybody to go on and launch their own AI agent. If somebody is technically proficient, back I guess to decentralization, open source, we do have an open source SDK called GAIB. So we are trying to attract the best developers with an open source SDK. However, if somebody isn't technically proficient, they can still come in. We have an open sandbox, and they can use GAIB to create an autonomous AI agent. So yeah, I mean, being decentralized and open source is very important for us, and I feel like can only further the space. Any one person can literally launch an agent, launch a business, and go from there.
Increasing the potential, increasing the fairness, increasing the efficiency. Yeah, awesome. Very excited about the future of AI and crypto. So I guess just as a last moment, I'd love to give you guys all like an opportunity to shill what your projects. Give a quick pitch.
Oh, should I start? Okay, sure. Okay, sure. Well, we're building the first AI economic layer, and our first product is going to come out soon in the next 1 to 2 months, which is the first AI synthetic dollar. We call it USD AI. It's very straightforward. All you have to do is to go to our website, well, when the UI is out, and swap for USD AI, stake it, and start generating yield. And the yield comes from real-world compute assets as well as on-chain compute assets as well. And it's 100% authentic, not boosted, not subsidized, and it's reliable as well. So yeah, we hope to give everyone direct exposure to the yield generated by compute, and we'll also create all kinds of DeFi use cases around it as well. Such as like lending, options and futures, and structured products such as PTYT around it as well, to really cater to the risk and reward profiles of all kinds of users. So anyone can just start earning yield from compute, as simple as that.
Yeah, I think with Aethir, the thing is we are a very serious business. We are an infra player, right? A lot of the times, and it's good. Like Web2 companies basically are now integrated with our stack. That's where most of our business revenue comes from. 100 mil plus in ARR and all that. Now what happens, like there is a disconnect with the Web3 audience, right? In terms of shilling, that's where we have been working too hard. A lot of new initiatives coming out to watch out for. The node sale that we did last year, we are now basically injecting liquidity into the node. So we are working with MetaStreet, one of our close partners, who are also here. We are working with GAIB, Plume on the GPU tokenization front. That's an interesting way for retail to come in, participate, right? These are the things that the Web3 audience is excited about. So all these things are really cool, and then obviously the AI agent wave, we caught it on pretty early on, now doing some experiments in DeSci. So all these things are very exciting for the Web3 audience generally. Good yields, good assets, good innovation. Yeah, just watch it for it.
ERC 7857. You heard it here first, folks. INFT standard. It is a new standard that we've built that allows you to trade AI agents like NFTs. But it doesn't stop there. You're able to keep the metadata private, the brain of the agent private. So then when it exists in a public domain and you have trained that on a private data set that you care about, maybe it's your secret sauce, maybe it's your company's records, that stays with you. And you can think about the limitless use cases, right? Let's say it's a trading bot that you've trained and it's outperforming the rest. Imagine the prices that can commandeer in an open market. No one can see it. No one can hard fork it. You've created something that's private, and then when you sell it, the metadata for the new owner becomes available, right? And so this is creating a new agentic economy where agents can be traded like NFTs without having to associate, the meme tokens and the speculation behind them. And then it empowers people to train and fine-tune these agents with their secret sauce to, of course, commandeer better prices and evolve this agentic framework in an open and public domain. So what we're allowing people to do on the zero gravity layer 1 chain is actually build with this ERC 7857 standard. It will, again, be abstracted away, so you can use an agent to build an agent. You can upload your public, private, or encrypted data sets. You're able to fine-tune for your use case, and then you have your agent. And we actually have a dApp that's on our Layer 1 ecosystem called Battle of the Agents, where people will be able to compete like battle bots, whether that's a debate, profit and loss statements, but the cream will rise to the top. And we're going to have a lot of really cool ways to engage with, we call the Darwinism of agents, right? Where we're able to then, see what is actually performing the best and then focus our efforts on training the best agents, kind of in that domain. So very excited about that, and you can check more out on zerog.ai.
Cool. If you guys don't know about Virtual's protocol, definitely check it out. Anyone can go on there and in 5 minutes create like their own autonomous agent. Since October, I think there's been over 20,000 agents launched with a cumulative value of well over $1 billion. That being said, probably the biggest agent in 6 months hasn't even been launched yet. So if you haven't been exposed yet to the AI agent space, definitely check us out.
Awesome, guys. I want to thank you all for coming today. We really do have the AI Illuminati up on stage today, so really appreciate you guys coming. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.